Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being genuinely well-informed. Today, we're taking a serious plunge into a topic that affects millions of kids every single day. Yet, many adults still profoundly underestimate its lasting impact. I'm talking about school bullying. Our mission in this deep dive is to really try and understand the hidden trauma and also the potential paths to healing that are associated with bullying. We're going to explore why it hurts far more than we, commonly think. Moving beyond just that surface level understanding, we'll uncover the quiet suffering it causes, how its echoes can persist for a lifetime, the relentless digital aspect in our modern world, and importantly, practical ways we can all actually make a difference.
Yeah, it's absolutely essential that we shift our perspective. Get away from dismissive phrases like, oh, kids being kids, and really start acknowledging this as a deeply profound and often scarring experience for children. Our objective here is to kind of peel back those layers, understand the intricate psychological and even, physiological impacts of what's too often brushed aside. Understanding this is just vital if we want to truly support our young people, help them thrive, not
Yeah.
just survive.
Okay, let's unpack that then. Let's dive right into the raw, lived experience of a child who's caught in this cycle. Our source material paints such a powerful, almost heartbreaking picture. For a child being bullied, school just doesn't feel like a place of learning at all. Instead, the feeling is one of constant, just exhausting survival. Every single insult, every shove, every cruel laugh just chips away at their confidence, piece by painful piece, until sometimes there's very little left. And the truly heartbreaking part, most kids don't tell anyone what they're going through. They put on a brave face, maybe manage to smile at home, but too often they cry in silence when no one's watching. Can you imagine carrying that immense burden alone, day after day?
What our sources really illuminate here, and what's so crucial, is that internal world, the one that often goes completely unseen. That silence, combined with the feeling of constant survival, well, it isn't just fleeting discomfort. It actually marks the beginning stages of complex trauma. For instance, our research shows that this kind of chronic, unpredictable stress happening during key developmental windows,
Hmm.
it can significantly impact how the prefrontal cortex develops.
Prefrontal cortex.
Yeah, the part of the brain responsible for executive functions like emotional regulation, impulse control, decision making. So it's not just a temporary emotional knockback. It's an experience that can subtly, well, rewire developing neural pathways. It makes children potentially more susceptible to anxiety or difficulties processing emotions later on. It really is a deep emotional and psychological wounding. It fundamentally alters a child's sense of self, their place in the world.
That's a really powerful point about the brain actually changing. So if these experiences are literally shaping a child's internal landscape, what happens when they grow up? Because here's where it gets, well, really sobering. We often think of bullying as something that it starts when you leave school, right? Like a bad dream you wake up from. But the reality, according to our sources, it's far more complex, more enduring. It states quite clearly, bullying doesn't end when childhood does. This isn't just a phase. Victims often carry that pain right into adulthood, and the consequences, they can be profound, persistent. We're talking about increased risks of anxiety, chronic depression, deep-seated struggles with trust and relationships, even in themselves. It's really not kids being kids. It is, like you said, developmental trauma that shapes lives in very real ways. Makes you think, doesn't it? How deeply can these early experiences shape who you become, your worldview, long after the school bell stopped ringing?
Yes, and this connection to the bigger picture is vital. It highlights how these unresolved childhood traumas, they don't just vanish, they manifest. They show up as very real psychological and social challenges in adulthood. The phrase trauma that shapes lives, it's not hyperbole, it's accurate. It's backed up by longitudinal studies. Our sources, for instance, they point to research showing a significant link between childhood bullying and, get this, an increased risk of chronic inflammation in adulthood.
Inflammation. Really?
Yes, it points towards a biological scar, not just psychological. The body itself remembers that early stress. And another really insidious outcome is what psychologists sometimes call internalized shame. This is where kids start to believe deep down that they somehow deserved the bullying.
Oh, that's awful.
It is. It fundamentally alters their self-perception in ways that can be incredibly hard to undo later. So this raises a huge question for all of us, doesn't it? How does society view and address childhood adversity when we know its repercussions are so profound, so long-lasting, even down to physical health? We need to look beyond just immediate fixes and consider the huge societal cost of ignoring these early experiences.
That's a truly arresting point. The biological impact, the internalized shame,
Hmm.
it makes you realize just how deep this runs. And As if traditional bullying wasn't enough, we now have this whole other dimension, often more relentless. Cyberbullying with social media, constant connectivity. Bullying doesn't stop at the school gate anymore, does it?
Not at all.
It follows kids home. It invades their personal spaces. It means there's no escape. It's 247, this constant digital presence. Just imagine the impact. A cruel comment online, an embarrassing picture shared without permission. In seconds, it can just shatter a young person's self-worth. They see it, their friends see it, sometimes strangers see it, and unlike a whispered rumor, it feels permanent, etched online forever. Can you imagine that feeling? That intense vulnerability, knowing there's literally no escape from the criticism, the humiliation, not even at home.
What's truly critical here is the exponential increase in the potential for harm. It's because of the permanence and the sheer reach of these digital platforms. With traditional bullying, like you said, there was often a break, you left the physical space. Now, a malicious post, an embarrassing photo, it can live online indefinitely, accessible to this huge, often anonymous audience. It can even resurface years later.
Yeah, years later.
Exactly. And our sources show that this constant exposure, combined with, the lack of direct eye contact online, it can embolden bullies. It can also desensitize bystanders. It creates a very different dynamic compared to face-to-face interactions. The sheer speed of sharing, the wide public audience, it just intensifies the humiliation, the isolation. This presents unique, really complex challenges for young people who are right in the middle of developing their identity. Their sense of self can be constantly scrutinized, attacked in this very public, inescapable way. It creates this psychological environment where the victim feels constantly on display, often with, nowhere to hide.
So, if we're talking about such deep issues, from brain development impacting inflammation to digital permanence, what does this all mean for us? How do we actually fight back against something so insidious, so ingrained now? Our sources offer some actionable strategies, paths towards healing and prevention. And it suggests we start with, the most crucial first step. And it's remarkably simple. We start by listening, but not just hearing words, right?
Yeah.
Truly listening. Can you elaborate on why that act of listening is so fundamental? What does that really mean here?
Absolutely. Connecting this to the bigger picture again, listening isn't just being quiet while someone talks. It's the critical first step because it actively validates the child's experience.
Validation.
It communicates, maybe without even saying it directly, that their pain is real, that they are seen, and crucially, that they are not alone. That validation is just foundational for any healing to start. Without it, a child might just internalize their pain even more deeply. Beyond that, we need to be proactive. Our sources strongly advocate teaching kindness, not just as a nice word for the classroom wall, but as a fundamental life skill, a core part of emotional intelligence.
A life skill, yeah.
Right. It means actively modeling empathy, fostering effective conflict resolution, instilling respect as core parts of all social interaction, playground to digital world. And critically, we need to create genuinely safe spaces, places where kids feel truly comfortable sharing what's happening without fear of judgment, dismissal, or worse, further reprisal. And this isn't just about physical spaces, it has to happen at home, within schools, and yes, even online.
So it's really about building this comprehensive support system, one that validates, educates, and protects. What specific actions, then, can you or I or anyone listening take to foster these safe spaces, to actively promote kindness in our own communities, our homes, schools? What are some practical steps we could implement, maybe even starting today?
Well, from the insights we've gathered, practical steps really involve active engagement. At home, it means fostering open communication, asking specific questions about their day, beyond just how is school, and modeling empathy in your own interactions. Kids pick up on that. In schools, it requires advocating for clear anti-bullying policies that are actually consistently enforced.
Consistency is key there, I imagine.
Absolutely. And advocating for curricula that teach social-emotional learning skills explicitly. Online, it's about educating young people on digital citizenship, teaching them how to report cyberbullying safely, and making sure they know that adults are there to support them in the digital world just as much as the physical one. It's really about forming this robust protective network around children, making sure they have multiple avenues for support, and fostering a strong sense of belonging that's vital for building resilience against these kinds of challenges.
This deep dive has really opened my eyes, I have to say.
Yeah.
It reinforces that central message. Bullying isn't just an unpleasant part of growing up, it's a serious form of developmental trauma, with profound, lasting consequences, psychological, even physical. It's definitely a heavy topic, no doubt about it. But understanding its true depth feels like the absolute first, most crucial step towards changing things.
Indeed. And I think the ultimate takeaway right from the heart of our sources is this: bullying hurts more than we think. It's not just about fleeting bruises or harsh names. It's about how those moments profoundly shape who we become, how they carve paths that impact our identity, our relationships, our health for a lifetime. And here's a final vital message for you, the listener, to carry forward. If you witness bullying, please speak up. Your voice, your intervention, it can make a tangible difference, more than you might realize. And if you've been through it yourself, please remember, your pain is real, it's valid, but healing is absolutely possible, and you are not alone on that journey.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into this such a crucial and, yes, difficult topic. And thank you for engaging with these challenging but vital ideas. We really encourage you to continue reflecting on these insights and to be proactive wherever you can in creating a kinder, safer world for everyone around you. Until next time.